Hello and welcome to Inside the Americas. I'm Claire Pride. Coming up, Hillary Clinton makes history, officially becoming the first female nominee of a major US political party, her former rival Bernie Sanders declaring her the nominee. As the Democratic Convention shines the light on police violence, we've got a special report from Philadelphia. And a taste of the high life. We'll introduce you to a chef who's incorporating marijuana into five-star fine dining. But first, just a few days to go before the start of the Rio Olympics, and organisers have been rushing to fix problems at the athletes' village, such as blocked toilets and exposed wiring. Several teams having complained that their accommodation wasn't up to par. Among them, the Australian delegation, whose concerns were met with derision. But it says there's been immense progress since the issues were flagged.
It may look impressive from the outside, but athletes living inside Rio's Olympic Village are concerned. Since the complex's doors opened on Sunday, the Australian team has called the conditions inhabitable. In particular, they reported a gas leak, blocked toilets and dirt. Other teams are also unimpressed. Dutch athletes say their own staff had to resolve many of their issues, while the Argentinian team has now reserved accommodation outside the village for part of its delegation. To combat the problem, Rio 2016 organisers sent in more than 600 workers.
I was at another site and they called us to come here. We've just been called in to see what's going on and to fix it.
It's nearing the end. This has to be finished up, otherwise how will the game start?
For now, the athletes seem to have been appeased.
There's been a few issues raised, but at the end of the day, I'm here to play rugby and to perform my sport, so that's what I'm most focused on.
You know, they're saying everything's great for us to move in tonight, so we're pretty excited about that. I think it's a pretty great outcome, and we're all keen to get in there and see what it's looking like.
The Olympic Village will act as a home away from home for some 18,000 athletes during the Games. While accommodation issues seem to have been settled for now, there are plenty more challenges on the table ahead of the opening ceremony on August 5th. Among them, transport problems, security issues, and the threat posed by the Zika virus.
Now the latest on the race for the White House. Bernie Sanders, Michelle Obama, Bill Clinton, some of the Democratic Party's stars calling for unity behind Hillary Clinton, who's now been formally nominated for the presidency by delegates at the Democratic National Convention. Her husband portraying her as a dynamic force for change. But she's been dealt a blow by a hacking scandal, stolen emails suggesting the party leadership conspired to sabotage the campaign of her rival Bernie Sanders. The former Secretary of State already disliked by many Americans. Hillary Clinton's been accused of being dishonest, untrustworthy and corrupt. Shirley Sitburn reports.
We have got to elect Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine.
Even their champion, Bernie Sanders, couldn't make them stop booing Hillary Clinton's name. Democrats opposed to the party's candidate for the presidential election say Clinton is not right for the job. Activists trying to sell Clinton to voters are usually ignored. 55% of American voters don't like her personality, especially after a charismatic president like Barack Obama.
I have to be honest, he can be a hard act to follow because he does have a lot of charisma.
Her approval ratings aren't good, and not only because of her alleged stiffness. 59% of voters say she's not honest. That's worse than Donald Trump, who got 53%.
25 years of being demonized by the Republican Party is hard.
The Republicans have had a number of scandals to work with. The biggest one, her email controversy, when Clinton used her private email account to send sensitive information as Secretary of State, putting national security at risk. Among the other controversies, Clinton's alleged connections with Wall Street. Both Bill and Hillary have been paid by banks to make lucrative speeches, earning up to $400,000 per event.
We came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt. We struggled to piece together the resources for mortgages for houses, for Chelsea's education. It was not easy.
Critics accuse Clinton of being part of a so-called system or establishment, something voters deeply dislike. But the Democratic candidate is not fighting her first battle, and she's not likely to give up.
You can be knocked down 8 times, 10 times, 100 times. What matters is whether you get back up. Just say.
The Democrats' team is trying to adjust her image, but some strategists say it may be too late to change voters' opinion of her. They say the best way to win the race to the White House is to attack her Republican rival. Trump's approval ratings are even lower than Clinton's.
For Trump. No nap. I don't take naps. We don't have time.
Now, the speakers at this week's Democratic National Convention included mothers of African-American men and women who died at the hands of police in police custody or from gun violence, among them the mothers of Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown. This amid particularly high racial tensions. From Philadelphia, Jessica Le Mesurier reports.
Philadelphia, the 6th most segregated city in the United States. Kayla Camille Brown grew up in this working-class neighborhood in the north of the city. She's 19 years old and she's already lost 2 friends to violent crime.
If we don't come together now, our kids will be in nothing but a war zone against color. If I'm gonna die behind my color, it's gonna be because I try to make a change for my race.
The recent cases of unarmed black men dying at the hands of white police officers have made her more desperate than ever for change. Kayla is studying criminal justice at the Community College of Philadelphia. She wants to become a police officer and change the system from within. Professor Faye Allard is giving a class on race relations and justice.
I'm white. I've got privilege, haven't I?
She describes life in America as a game that's rigged.
But imagine being from the city and being minority. It's like you get to school and the first thing you encounter is that the teachers aren't as qualified, yeah? So then you've got to crawl over. And it's a bit harder, yeah? So my journey, I'm already at the end of the room. You're crawling over, and then I make it through school.
Statistics show that if you are young, black and male, you have a 1 in 4 chance of going to prison. Kevin Harden Jr. is a successful corporate lawyer. He also helps African Americans in need of legal advice. Growing up in West Philadelphia, Kevin dealt drugs and survived a shooting before turning his life around. He wants to see the justice system reformed. For that to happen, he says the Democrats need to stay in power.
For the last 8 years, Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch have led the federal criminal justice system in a direction that has been beneficial for many people from the sort of communities that I come from. Now, at a state level, I think that Hillary Clinton has the power to create those broad-based coalitions that will finally give us an opportunity to get some change in our state legislatures as well as in the House of Representatives. At the end of the day, in America, politics is money. And Hillary knows how to get it to local elected politicians.
Kevin's own best friend was killed by police. His first-hand experiences have taught him that it's education and justice that'll fix America's race relations problem.
Thousands of firefighters have been battling a wildfire north of Los Angeles. It's killed 1 person, destroyed at least 18 homes, scorching tens of thousands of acres. Most of the people evacuated given the all clear, though, to return to their homes. Further north, efforts are underway to put out a smaller fire near Carmel by the Sea. It's destroyed some 20 homes. The causes of both wildfires under investigation. Now, you've probably heard of space cakes, cakes with marijuana in them. But how do you fancy weed being in a main dish at a restaurant? That's what Christopher Sayegh specialises in. The young chef hoping that cannabis will one day be as common in kitchens as herbs and spices. Mark Thompson reports.
The chefs prepare the sorbet, the starters and the mains, all with a special ingredient, cannabis. There are no rudimentary space cakes in this restaurant. Instead, it's gourmet cuisine. The man at the helm, 24-year-old molecular biology graduate Christopher Sayegh.
I use it as to bring aroma and flavor, and then I also use it to infuse the THC, which is a psychoactive, and that's the part that gets you high. People don't necessarily like smoking, and that's still really stigmatized, and especially the older generations. So with an edible, it's very easy and it's discreet.
Based in Los Angeles, the chef takes his food on the road, catering for private events and pop-up banquets like here in Tacoma, Washington. Diners can enjoy the food in candlelight, served with fine wine and surrounded by cannabis leaves. The menu gives the THC contents for each course so that they don't overindulge, and the food is a hit with the critics.
Typically, I look for in edibles consistent dosing as well as good flavor that's not totally dominated by cannabis flavor.
I've really enjoyed the little crostinis and the elk skewers were absolutely fantastic.
The restaurant isn't open to everyone though. To enter, diners have to first show their medical marijuana cards at the door. But that might be about to change. The state of California will decide in November whether or not to make recreational marijuana use legal for adults.
Oh, wow.
That's it for this edition of Inside the Americas. Don't forget you can watch this show and others on our website. That, of course, is France24.com. I hope you'll tune in again next week. Bye for now.